Hello and good afternoon, everybody. I'm trying to say good afternoon because when I made this, it's actually the morning. So hello from the past. It's good to be back, and I know this isn't actually live. So if you are listening now, you can feel free to comment and have chats with people in the chat. This is only pre-recorded, so do just be aware of that. Now, I'm here today to talk about just a little bit about Steve Cooper's brand new contract at Nottingham Forest until 2025. So that's another 3 years at the club. Now, Steve Cooper, obviously, been in charge of Forest since I think it was just late 2021. So he's been here for quite a while. And so far, I think he's made himself a bit of a favourite at Nottingham Forest. I think it's fair to say, obviously, getting them promotion. They got pretty far in the FA Cup as well. So they've had a good run in the cup. And all in all, actually, Steve Cooper has been a really consistent manager at Forest. Obviously, it's been a bit difficult this season with the Premier League, but I think for any manager that hasn't managed in the Premier League, you have to give them a little bit of leeway and just back them, which is what the club has done by giving him a new contract. Now, obviously, there was rumours going around that, and I think it's probably true, that Forest were talking to other managers. There was talks of Sean Dyche, Rafa Benitez, Bruno Lage. Ranieri's name was thrown in. Nuno Espirito Santos, who used to be the Tottenham and Wolves manager. He wasn't at Tottenham very long, but I didn't want to see any of them as manager. I wanted to see Steve Cooper stay. And thankfully, our prayers have been answered. And it looks like either the Marinakis are watching the streams or the fan pressure has overcome them a little bit. But there's a multitude of things that actually could have been the reason for Steve Cooper getting a new contract. And I don't think it's just down to pressure. I think the pressure's huge, right? Obviously, the owner's son, he's on Twitter. He will already see how people feel about Steve Cooper, how they feel about the club being run, and how they feel about Steve Cooper being treated in the way that we thought he was by obviously the talk to the other managers. And it looked almost certain that Monday would be his final goodbye. But that wasn't the case. And it's a very odd situation because when I say that almost every journalist was duped into thinking that this was it, basically, and he was going, that the chance of a contract coming was almost non-existent. But then the Athletic, I think it was the Athletic anyway, broke the news that he was getting a new contract. And then not just that, but Dane Murphy was staying. So there's two people that were almost certain to be going, should Monday have not gone very well, like many anticipated it too. But I think this is a massively fresh morale boost. Obviously, going into a team like Aston Villa, who aren't in the best of morales, to be honest, in terms of morality, sorry. Obviously, they've not had the greatest start so far. They're 14th in the league, which isn't obviously terrible. They've got 8 points. They've still got 4 more points than us, but they've only managed to get 1 win in 5 games. Obviously, we've had 5 losses in 5, so it'd be unfair to cast any criticism on them for that. But 1 win in 5 games for a team that actually at the start of the season, there's podcasts that I've been on where I've said I think Aston Villa could could potentially get top 10, if not a little bit more. But the last 2 games they have lost. So this is a point where they need to recover form. This is a point where Forest have to recover form in order to advance in the Premier League season. And if Forest do recover form and get a win against Aston Villa, potentially, depending on Wolves and Leicester's results, they could go to 17th place. Potentially, after that, they could go further up the table, obviously. Now, if let's say Forest were to win their next 2 games, right? Let's say we were to win our next 2 games and we got the 6 points, right? If we got those 6 points, not only would we get out of the bottom 3, essentially confirmed, right? But then we'd go even further up the table to the point where, so I'm looking at the table right now. Let's say at this current moment, if we got 6 points, we could technically go to 12th, right? Which is a massive, massive boost. Now, let's just say this happens, and obviously, I think we've got it's Wolves after Aston Villa. So Monday, 10th of October, we've got Aston Villa. Then 15th on the Saturday, we've got Wolves, then Brighton, 3 days after. So we've got a pretty loaded week and a half, to be honest. It's a massively, massively busy week and a half, and it's going to be a real fitness test for the lads as well. So maybe a couple people resting that have played the full 90 throughout the whole season so far. Maybe we could see, if we stay at a back 4, Nico Williams coming out for the likes of Serge Aurier and so on and so forth. But that being said, obviously, as I say, 6 points would be massive. 3 points on its own, though, would equally be huge. Now, there's only one team that is close to us in terms of form, and that's Leicester. Obviously, it didn't go that great the other night against them. They've got 1 win in 5. And then you've got Wolves that also only have 1 win in 5. Crystal Palace the same, Southampton the same, and West Ham almost the same. They've got 2 wins in 5. So there's multiple teams that have got 1 win in 5. In fact, there's what, 4 teams that have got 1 win in 5 that are just 4 places above us. So it's a big there's a foundation for Forest to go and succeed. They've got a decent team. They've just got to find out what their best 11 is. Obviously they've got to make sure that whatever subs they're making are the right subs, which obviously I'm sure Steve Cooper will do. And anything that's happening off the pitch seems to have been lifted a little bit. So, as I say, fresh boost of morale, and just in general, it's just a big boost, isn't it? I mean, to see your manager that, Leicester's a football player. If you're playing a game and you know that if you don't play well, then your boss's job is on the line, and perhaps you join the club because of that said boss, then you're going to feel under immense pressure and probably aren't going to perform as well. Obviously media coverage as well. The spotlight was on Forest. The spotlight has been on Forest all week. You're bottom in the Premier League. You've got a goal difference of -15. It's not good enough. And you've got 4 points after 8 games. So, but as I say, Leicester's still on 4 points as well. Wolves are on 6. There's a point. You only need a point or 2 points to get past those teams at this current stage. Obviously, Leicester, they could go either way and they could win, and Wolves obviously could win. But this is a really, really good opportunity for Forest to go further up the league. And Steve Cooper is going to be the man that hopefully will do this. Now, he in his career, places like Nantwich, Wrexham, obviously over in Wales, he's been coaching and doing things, and obviously played kind of a little bit for Wrexham, not for very long though. And then he got his coaching badges, went on to do some stuff for England, obviously with the under-17s, went and won the World Cup with them, and then became the Swansea manager. So he's quite, he's done a lot before that. Obviously, can't forget to mention Liverpool as well in the academy. Another massive accolade that he has. Obviously, working with some of the talents that you're now seeing that are in the Liverpool team or elsewhere. There's a lot of players around Europe, perhaps, that Steve Cooper has coached that many people don't actually know about because obviously his work at Liverpool in the academy. So he's a manager with experience with developing younger players. You can see with the signings that he's made that they tend to be of a younger demographic. Certain types of players that he does like. Obviously, he quite likes his Welsh players, obviously, being Welsh himself, and he knows his Welsh players a bit better. Nico Williams, for example, Brennan Johnson, obviously, Hennessy, and a couple other lads. So, he knows what he wants as a manager. He knows what he wants, but the Premier League is a new challenge for him. Since leaving Swansea and joining Forest, I think it was in November 2021, and he's only 42, by the way, I want to just say, he's a young manager. He's not got any experience in the Premier League except from now as a first team manager. And to get 1 win and a draw in 8 games obviously isn't fantastic. But that being said, a lot of things going on off the pitch, and to have that weight raised off his shoulders a little bit is going to be massively beneficial to him. It's going to be beneficial, as I say, to the players on the pitch, and just in general the club, and also the fan base as well. The fan base have wanted to have a period of time when they can watch Forest and don't feel as though they've got to worry every 5 minutes about a manager being sacked. The fan base can also benefit from just a bit of stability within the club, because all we've ever seen is just hire a manager for a year, sack him, hire, sack him, and obviously as disruptive as that is, it's also very expensive. Compensation for managers, it's not cheap. And in the contracts, some of the managers we've had, they've probably had a large compensation clause, and Forest have had no choice but to actually activate that. So obviously I can't moan with Chris Hughton having it done to him, but a couple of managers in the past, it's going to be they were very expensive to get rid of. But of course, this is a new era, a new generation. The managers and the owners have a same ethos in the fact that they want to respect the past and respect the work of the legends of Forest, people like Gary Birtles, who's been on this podcast, and others as well, that have helped build the club into what it is today. It's a 2-time Champions League winning club in the past. It's won 2 FA Cups. It's won multiple League Cups as well. Forest has a vivid history. It has a good history. It has a history to be proud of. But now they want to create another history, a new era, where younger fans will be able to witness the greatness of what Forest can really achieve. And this is the first opportunity in 23 years we've had to be able to show ourselves off on the world's biggest stage in football, and that is the Premier League. So now is the time to savour that moment. Now is the time to make the most of it. If things don't go well, we get behind the boys. We keep singing their names. We keep supporting the club. Keep buying the club's merchandise. Keep everything. When you buy a Forest shirt, it goes towards the club, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Whether you buy the home kit, the third kit, the away kit. Which, by the way, if you are listening today on I think it's the 8th of October. Yeah, 8th of October. They've got brand new home kits, brand new away kits, and brand new third kits in the shop. So go down and get yourself some if you've been really wanting to get some. I know the club shop's going to be busy today, but they have got some brand new stuff in there for you, as I say. So that is essentially a bit on that. Now let's talk a bit more Steve Cooper in a bit of depth. So let's get some of his stats. Now, current club, obviously Forest. He's a Welsh manager, not English, Frank Lampard. He's got 161 matches to his name. He's got a 47% win percentage, and he's won 77 games out of 161. So not bad at all. That's his entire career, by the way. Now, having a look in the Championship last season, in the FA Cup, he managed 4 games and won 3 and lost 1. I think that was more in the kind of the main competition side of it. In the Championship, he managed 41, won 24, drawn 10 and lost 7. So an average of 2 points per game. And then if you look as a whole, if you were to match up the FA Cup and the Championship games, he got on average about 2.02 points per game. So for a manager, that's pretty good. Obviously, this season hasn't been brilliant because on average he's got 0.5 points per game in 8 games. So not an easy start for sure, but something that I'm sure he's probably working on. In the pre-season, they had an all right pre-season, but probably not long enough, to be honest, considering how many players you've got to gel together. So it's difficult. You've got 24 players there. Some of them perhaps might have not been his. You just don't know. And he's got to gel them all together. So as a manager, especially a non-Premier League experienced manager, you've got so many challenges to face. And I think that although we've had 5 losses in a row, it's been a really difficult time for him. But it's just good to see a smile on his face yesterday and looking a bit happier. But now looking at what the future is for Forest, obviously you've got, as I say, Aston Villa, then you've got Wolves, then you've got Brighton, then I can't remember if it was Liverpool just after that. It might be Liverpool. Liverpool just after that on the 22nd, then Arsenal. So you've got a really difficult run of games. I mean, let's be honest, every game in the Prem is difficult, and given our situation, beating any team would be nice. Okay, being honest with you, or being any team would be nice. But I don't think that actually the team has really performed to what it can. I think that people that say, oh, if this is really Forest, then that is it. But if you look at that Spurs game, I mean, you could argue Spurs play extremely boring football. I mean, I just want to say I respect Conte as a manager. The achievements he's made, he's great, right? He'll go down as one of the great managers, right? In Europe, he's managed good teams, Inter, Juve, Chelsea, now Tottenham, who he said he'd never manage, but he has. But although they didn't play great football, Tottenham, I thought Forest actually were quite good. Obviously, we didn't score. 2 goals, really, kind of just silly mistakes. Obviously, the first one came off a deflection. The second one, it was a great Trivela pass by Richarlison, and Harry Kane was just there to head it in. So, silly mistakes. Probably should have been marking the lads a little bit better. But that's football. But even then, in that game, they played really well. We showed signs of promise. We showed signs of hunger. We showed signs of aggression. And as people have said, if we can play like how we played against Tottenham every week, I think we'll beat a lot of the teams that are out there. I think we could beat Aston Villa if we play like how we did. I think we could put up a good fight against Wolves. I think Brighton's always going to be a difficult game because Brighton is a horrendously underrated team in the Premier League now by the looks of it. So we need to, of course, focus on these games. We need to make sure that we do play like how we played against Tottenham, and if not better, because I do believe that Forest are better than how they played against Tottenham still. I do think that we have more promise than what we showed even in that game. And I think some of the players that we have in that team are yet to show their best. And I think the criticism coming to the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White, Brennan Johnson, and a couple of the other lads, I think it can be a bit unfounded because I think, of course, we've only just started playing Brennan Johnson as right winger, right? As in a 4-3-3, which is what we should have done anyway. And you're only going to see him at his best when he gets the delivery, when he's got options around him. And I think that, there was a couple of unfortunate things for him. But I thought in general, he was always looking for good passes. And I think that he's got promise as well. It's just about putting him in the right position, making sure there's delivery there. And I don't think you're going to get that if you put Kouyaté and O'Brien in the midfield. I think O'Brien stay, but I'd have O'Brien and Mangala. I just think Mangala's got a bit more physical attributes to him that would benefit us. And if you are going to put Kouyaté on, maybe chuck him in a back four. Maybe if Niakate is not there, So that would be my honest thoughts on it. If you want to know my starting 11 for the game, I'm going to go Hendo in goal. I'm going to chuck Lodi in left back again. I'm going to go, if Niakate's fit, Niakate left centre. I'm going to go Worrell right centre. I'm not going to say Bade just yet because I think he needs to get some minutes. So if things do go well on Monday, chuck him in the last 20 and see what happens. On right back, I'm going to go. This is if we're in a 4. I want to give Nico a rest, so I'm going to chuck Aurier in. Not because I don't believe in Nico, just because I think give him a rest for a bit and you can maybe bring him on second half. In midfield, I'm going to go O'Brien, Mangala, and Morgan Gibbs-White. On the left wing, I'm going to say Dennis, who has to start playing games. For how much we paid for him, and also given the fact he's got Prem experience. Up front is a tough one. I'm going to still say Awoniyi, despite Leicester. I think he's got a goal or two in him still. But Surridge is also a good shout. And then on the right wing, I'm going to go Brennan Johnson. And you've still got a solid line of subs as well. You've got Freuler there. Still got Kouyaté there, Bade, Williams. You've got players there ready to come on the pitch. Yates, obviously. So that'll be my starting 11. Now, in regard to Steve Cooper signing this new contract, I'm happy. I wanted him to sign the new contract. I was hoping the club had the long-term vision, and thankfully they did. It's good to see that they really care about the club going forward, about who's going to take the club going forward, because I don't think that any manager that was named, no disrespect to them, would have done what Steve Cooper will do. And I just want to say as well, I think Sean Dyche, obviously being a Nottingham lad coming through the Forest Academy, I think he's a very good manager, and I think he's done great things at Burnley. Obviously, it didn't quite go well towards the end of the season. I think you could probably say that's due to a lack of investment. But if it was going to be any manager, it would be Sean Dyche, because he knows Nottingham and he's got that passion. But for me, I wouldn't even consider it at this point. If it came to a last-minute thing and you had to, then yeah, Sean Dyche, because he knows the city better. But and I think that the other managers aren't there because they care. But for me, Steve Cooper's the only one I'm thinking of. There was never a doubt in my mind that that it was going to be difficult coming to the Premier League with him in specific, because I knew that he was going to have challenges on and off the pitch relating to the Premier League and relating to pressure from the owners and others. But he's coping with it okay, and obviously, as I say, difficult run of form, but things are going to improve. So that's just in general my thoughts on Steve Cooper stay until 2025. I think that, this is going to be a really challenging few weeks. We've got to make sure that results improve. I would say from the next 3 games, I would want at least 4 points from the next 3 games, which would take you to 8 points, which hopefully would take us to 17th after those games. So that's what we want, and that's what we've got to aspire for. But hopefully we can get even more points than that. Maybe 9 points would be nice, wouldn't it? But 8 points for me. Sorry, not 8 points. 4 points for me would be nice. 6 would be even nicer, and 9 at this moment doesn't seem possible. But I'm not going to doubt the lads. We've got to get behind them. You've got to make sure you keep singing the name, as I say, and keep getting involved with the matches. And even if you're not watching the matches, Twitter's there, Facebook's there, Instagram's there. Keep getting behind them, share the posts, because players will see this, and it's good to give them a bit of a confidence boost. And that's another thing I think as well. You know, the media plays a massive part in player confidence, and I think that the confidence of the players is low at the moment. And I think you've seen that in other games. And I think that's why they've not performed so well. I think it is a confidence thing for a lot of it. I don't even think it's an ability thing. I think a lot of them do have the ability to win these games as a team, but they just simply don't have the confidence to, you know. So for me, keep singing, keep talking, keep sharing, keep doing your amazing thing. And it's just brilliant to see Steve Cooper staying. Of course, I've still got Wi-Fi problems. That's just the way it is. I'm looking at getting it fixed, but I really do apologise for anybody that was on the stream last night and unfortunately missed it. But that's all from me. Thank you all very much for joining. It's been a pleasure to bring you my thoughts on Steve Cooper signing a new contract, and I will be doing more streams in the future. Please stay tuned. Subscribe, share, like, comment, get involved. And it will be absolutely amazing to see you all very, very soon. So stay tuned. We'll see you all very soon. My Wi-Fi keeps going off. There you go. And we'll see you soon. So thank you all for listening. Take care. Like, share.